محمد محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. ذکر حیدر سے آغاز کرتے ہیں آج. امام علی کی شان میں ایک منقبت، اس کے بعد پھر امام محمد باقر کی شان میں ایک اور منقبت. اور محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. عشق حیدر اگر ملا ہوتا، 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 مشکلوں سے نہ سامنا ہوتا، مشکلوں سے نہ سامنا ہوتا. یا علی یا علی علی مولا، یا علی یا علی علی مولا. یہ سبق کاش پڑھ لیا ہوتا، یہ سبق کاش پڑھ لیا ہوتا. کالی کملی تمہیں بچا لیتی، کالی کملی تمہیں بچا لیتی، احترام کسا کیا ہوتا، احترام کسا کیا ہوتا. چھوڑتا وہ کبھی نہ فوج یزید، چھوڑتا وہ کبھی نہ فوج یزید. فطرتاً حر اگر برا ہوتا، فطرتاً حر اگر برا ہوتا. لب جو اصغر کے بعد دعا کرتے، لب جو اصغر کے بعد دعا کرتے، آسماں ٹوٹ کر گرا ہوتا، آسماں ٹوٹ کر گرا ہوتا. اور آخری شعر. موت آتی جو عشق حیدر میں، موت آتی جو عشق حیدر میں تو ریحان جی گیا ہوتا، میں تو ریحان جی گیا ہوتا، عشق حیدر اگر ملا ہوتا، مشکلوں سے نہ سامنا ہوتا، عشق حیدر۔ صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد۔ ایک دفعہ اور صلوات پڑھ، اللہم صلی علی علوم آل محمد کا آسمان باقر، علوم آل محمد کا آسمان باقر، علوم آل محمد کا آسمان باقر، رموز کون و مکان کا ہے رازداں باقر، علی کا روپ ہے یہ منبر سلونی پر، علی کا روپ ہے یہ منبر سلونی پر، دیار جہد میں ہے علم کی اذان باقر، پہنچ نہ پائیں گے افکار اس کے ساحل تک، پہنچ نہ پائیں گے افکار اس کے ساحل تک، فضیلتوں کا ہے ایک بحر بے کراں باقر، بکھرتے جاتے ہیں شعروں میں نور کے جلوے، بکھرتے جاتے ہیں شعروں میں نور کے جلوے، ہے آسمان تخیل کی کہکشاں باقر، اسی کے ذکر میں مصروف ثاقب و بوذر، اسی کے ذکر میں مصروف ثاقب و ابوذر، صدا و فکر کے پردوں میں بھی نہاں باقر، علوم آل محمد کا آسماں باقر، رموز کون و مکان کا ہے رازداں باقر، صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد، اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔ صلوات۔ اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم، الحمد للہ رب العالمین، بارئ الخلائق اجمعین، والصلاة والسلام علی سیدنا ونبینا ومولانا ابی القاسم محمد، وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقال الإمام محمد بن علي الباقر عليهما السلام: العلم خزائن والمفاتيح السؤال. صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, month of Rajab has begun, a blessed month, a sacred month, 7th month of Islamic lunar calendar has started, and this month, while it is a blessed month and a sacred month, it starts and begins
with the wiladat of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. As we all know that the first of Rajab is the day of wiladat of our fifth Imam. And today was the first of Rajab, and tomorrow is of course going to be the second of Rajab. Month of Rajab is a very busy month. It's a month of ibadat, month of du'as, month of munajat, month of many recommended prayers, month of recommended fasts. And at the same time, if we look at the calendar, we see that this is the month which has the most events which we celebrate or commemorate out of all those other 12 months. At least there are 10 events in month of Rajab which we celebrate or commemorate. And there are of course some other events mentioned here and there in the books of history, but normally those are not on our calendar at Baitul Ilm. But there are about 10, and you can imagine that if there are 29 days or 30 days and you have 10 events, every third day is an event. That shows the greatness of this month, the importance of this month in our family life, in our community life, and how much we can learn and how much we can take away and take home from this month. Matter of fact, that one phrase is very known, Ainar Rajabiyun. It is basically a phrase which is taken out from a statement of an angel who is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and as the month of Rajab begins, this angel comes to the heaven of this dunya, looks down and calls upon people, and he says, Ainar Rajabiyun, where are those people of Rajab? Where are those people that who take the advantage of this month of Rajab? Where are those that who pray extendedly and extensively in this month of Rajab? Where are those who fast and fast more and more in the month of Rajab? And where are those that who have hajat? And where are those who have du'as? And where are those who have these hajat and du'as? They wanted to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is their month, this is their opportunity, and this is the month of Rajab. So, Aina Rajabiyun, where are those people that who were looking for this month and looking for a time and a season of dua and ibadat and munajat? And here is the month of Rajab. So these few sentences I mentioned to just emphasize the importance of this month, and I wanted to encourage our community members to take the advantage and get the maximum benefit of this month of Rajab by praying those recommended prayers and nawafil, by fasting those recommended fasts, in this month of Rajab by doing those a'mal which are recommended to do in this month of Rajab, doing du'as and asking their hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month of Rajab, and also looking into the lives of those great personalities of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam, who were either born in this month, or they were martyred in this month, or they have gone to Mi'raj in this month, or they have departed Medina in this month and left for another Mi'raj. Instead of going to Masjid Aqsa and then going to Mi'raj, they went to Karbala, and then from there they went to the Mi'raj. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So it's a great month, very unique, very unique. And it begins with the wiladat of our fifth Imam. The person and the personality of fifth Imam is very special, my brothers and sisters. Every ma'soom, beginning from Rasulullah to our 12th Imam, everyone was very special and very remarkable, and all of them were great and Nurun Wahid. We don't make any discrimination among them, but everyone was unique also in their own way. That's the beauty. While they are all Hujjat-e Khuda, they are all the representatives of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam and Ma'soom, and very similar to one another in many ways, but again very different and very distinguished from many other ways. Otherwise, it would become kind of like a robotic word, meaning if everyone is just like the copy of the other and you don't see those little subtle, fine differences, then it wouldn't really catch the attention of people. And again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is not ajiz, He is not unable to create variety and in Kamal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not a kind of creator that He can create someone to a certain level with Kamal and then He cannot create anyone else little differently but having the same Kamal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can create Kamal after Kamal after Kamal, all of them, even if they are equal, but they are going to be different. And this is what we see in Ahlul Bayt. When it comes to the fifth Imam, we have a very special riwayat, and this riwayat also comes from an Imam whose title is Sadiq. Sadiq, he is Masoom, and then on top of that he is also Sadiq, someone who speaks only truth. And that Imam, Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, is quoted in Biharul Anwar. Allama Majlisi in Biharul Anwar, volume 46 and the page number 228. Biharul Anwar, volume 46, page 228, where Allama Majlisi quotes our sixth Imam where he says, Inna le abi manaqib laysat le ahadin min abai. My father, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, has such manaqib, fadail, the qualities and merits that laysat li ahadin min abai, that none of my other aba, my grandfathers, none of them have those fadail and manaqib which my father Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam had. It's a very big statement. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, yani Imam Sadiq is saying, my father Imam Muhammad Baqir had some fadail, some qualities which were not there or which were not known to be found in my any of other Aba. Means Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Hussain, Imam Hassan, Imam Ali, these are the Aba of Imam Sadiq. And Imam Sadiq, and Imam is speaking. It's not a poetry that a poet is making a poetry or a speaker is giving a speech or any other person is talking. It is Imam Ma'asum, and that is also Imam Ja'far Sadiq making the claim that my father had some fadail and some manaqib and some merits that which none of my other Aba and other A'imma had. That's a big thing. Based on that, we see a great marja taqleed, a very big personality of our own time, Imam Khomeini. When he wrote that Wasiyat Nama, his will, he has a very known document which he left behind him as his legacy, and that is the will of Imam Khomeini. He wrote a very big will explaining the so many different dimensions of Islamic teachings, Islamic history, Islamic irfan, and then explaining his vision and his message for future, and so much and so forth and so on. It's a very scholarly, and it's a kind of a document full of ma'rifat and irfan. It is translated now in certain languages. I don't know whether it is translated in English or not, but that will of Imam Khomeini is a very special document. In that will, Imam Khomeini, when he comes to this point, he says, Ma muftakhirin, Ma muftakhirin, yani we are proud, or we have the pride that Baqirul Ulum ke bala tareen shakhsiyat tarikh ast, khesi ke juz khudawand ta'ala wa rasul wa aime ma'sumin maqam uro dark na kar de wa na thawana dark khard azmast. Imam Khomeini says, we, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, have the pride that a man by the name of Baqirul Ulum, whose status is such high that other than Anbiya and A'imma Ma'sumin, no one was able to even understand the level and the position of this great Imam Baqirul Ulum. So a faqih, an arif, a mujtahid, a marja, when he picks one Imam and then he wants to put himself and his fiqh and his maslak and maktab and his school of thought and his fiqh and faqahat, that this is a legacy, so normally we choose the legacy of Imam Sadiq. Normally we say we are Jafari, we are followers of Imam Jafar Sadiq. But Imam Khomeini picks Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. Because in reality, Imam Jafar Sadiq is a student and the son and follower of Imam Muhammad Baqir. The founder of that school, which flourished later, is Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. It is the legacy of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir which Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, then Imam Musa al-Kazim alayhi salatu wassalam, then Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam, they kept, they expanded, and then they have followed it up. These four Imams, if you want to see the sequence, it begins with Imam Muhammad Baqir, then it continues with Imam Sadiq and Imam Kazim and Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. Recite salawat. Every one of these Imams, as we said, we believe all of them were Nurun Wahid, Hujjat Khuda, Masoom, great. But again, everyone had a different role to play. Everyone had different circumstances to live in. The legacy of Amirul Mu'mineen, the legacy of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain, the three Imams, they lived in the most difficult time of their own kind. The challenges were political. The challenges were of different nature. Their time, their efforts were spent again on some other fronts. While they also educated people, they also had students, they also had some opportunity to educate, but bulk of their time and their effort was spent on some other fronts. Then, as we know, in Karbala, everything was burned to ashes. So that legacy of those three Imams and whatever they had accomplished in Karbala, everything was finished. As we know, after Karbala, when Imam Zainul Abidin started his mission, he had very few people with him, very few. According to some riwayat, there were only 3 or 4 people in entire Medina and surroundings of Medina that who could say openly that we belong to Ahlul Bayt, or they would come to visit openly as the followers to Imam Zainul Abidin in the beginning. So this is how Imam Zainul Abidin is now putting the foundation again. But again, because of his health, then because of the circumstances, because of what had just happened, and there was so much shock in the community and so much scare, Imam Zainul Abidin, all what he did, he just provided some stepping stones, some what you call he set the stage. That was all what he could do. He chose the medium of dua and munajat and providing services to the needy and the poor and the suffering people and all those orphans and widows that whom men were murdered in the time of Imam Ali or Imam Hassan or Imam Hussain. And Imam Zainul Abidin has to take care of all those widows and all those orphans. And bulk of his time goes into those kind of things. But he set a stage. He put some foundation, started a kind of little madrasa. But then the man who comes and who takes the stage and engages really in learning and teaching and comes as a person of ilm and demonstrates that ilahi knowledge given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and as a heritage of his Aba and Ajdad, Ale Muhammad, that man, that great man who started this and who founded this, that was Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. And then of course his son, Imam Sadiq, he took the legacy of his father, he expanded, and then his son Imam Musa al-Kadhim, whatever time he got, so he also took it and expanded, and then it goes to the Imam Rida. 4 generations. That is what most of the time I tell. We people get tired just by doing something for a few years and oh, I have done enough, no, I am tired. Now youth should take over. Now the other generation should come in. I have done enough, now this is my time to sit back and retire, and I have donated this much money, so now I cannot donate this much. I have volunteered, I have served at board as trustee, as director or this or that for 1 term, 2 term, and that's it. While we see here that the solid results, if we want to see, then we have to see generation after generation after generation. When 3, 4, 5 generations, they show that commitment, they keep that commitment. Son comes at the place of father and works as dedicated as the father worked all along in his life, and then he prepares his son and he comes at his place, and then the next, and then the next. When 3, 4, 5 generations, my brothers and sisters, when they continue something with the same commitment, in the same direction, then comes the solid result. Then the culture is established, the legacy is established, the school is established, the thought is established, and then you see the trend is established. Then it becomes the part of history. Then nobody can shake it up. Then it takes its roots. But that needs a commitment of generations. So many people lost their lives, and they have fought heroically as heroes, and they have gone through so much brutality, and they have done so much for humanity or their nation or their tribe or their community. In the history, if we read the history, in East and West, so many people have lost their lives and their lives of their loved ones, and have faced discrimination and hardships and difficulties. But then today, who knows? Who remembers? What happened to them? They are all buried in the sand of history. But what happened in Karbala to Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam after 1400 years? If we know each and every detail, and if we remember, and if we still remember, and everyone, when Muharram comes, the whole world watches and listens and hears. This was the commitment of Zainab, Zainul Abidin, then Muhammad Baqir, then Jafar Sadiq, then Musa Kazim, then Ali Reza, and then it continued like that. These generations, they kept the zikr, the name, the legacy, the sacrifice of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam up, and always they held it high and they remembered it. And since they kept it and they kept remembering it for generations, then finally what happens? Now it is written in the heart of history, and no matter what people can do or they want to do, no one can take the name of Hussein out of this. This is because of, again, the Shohada, they done their job. Shohada, they have done their job. But if this family and these coming generations, if they wouldn't do what they did, then the story of Imam Hussain was buried in Karbala. It was buried in Karbala. And similarly, the teachings of Prophet, the sacrifices of Prophet, the true deen of Allah and Rasul, it would be buried in sand and in the tribal traditions of those Banu Umayyah and other tribes. If Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, Zainul Abidin, Muhammad Baqir, Jafar Sadiq, Musa Kazim, Ali Reza, if all of them, they were not there to keep bringing it up and keep talking about it and keep teaching it, then my brothers and sisters, it was all done. It was all gone. But if still we have everything, if we have Quran, if we have Hadith, if we have all those teachings of Allah and Rasul intact, this is because of this golden chain. This is because of this generation after generation, the commitment of Ahlul Bayt. And this is why Rasulullah was referring to that I am leaving behind two things, Quran and Ahlul Bayt. Quran and Ahlul Bayt. And Ahlul Bayt will keep Quran alive, and Quran will keep Ahlul Bayt alive. And they will go hand in hand. They will go hand in hand. So the issue, my brothers and sisters, is if you want to understand what is the significance of the contribution of fifth Imam, I just give you the example. Although deviations in Islam, changes in Islam, tampering with the teachings of Islam, it started very early. Just after the death of Prophet, they started tampering. Of course, at initial stage, they could do only a little by little here and there. They started it. They started using their own opinions, their own interpretations, started drifting away from the position of Prophet little by little here and there, because first of all, it is just Prophet has passed away. The wheel is still spinning in the so strong speed. People remember so many things. And then on top of that, Ali is there. He is watching. Yes, he is not sitting on throne. He is not sitting on member, but still he is on the floor, sitting on the floor in the masjid. In presence of Ali, how much you can change Islam, how much you can change Quran, how much you can change the hadith of Prophet while a man like Ali is present. Same was the presence of Imam Hassan and Hussain. Everybody knew their position, their relation to Prophet. And as we know that how brave they were and how strong they were about protecting the Islam. But then what happened after Karbala? Actually, it started happening after the Shahadat of Amirul Mu'mineen and after the treaty of Muawiyah with Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. When Muawiyah takes over, of course now Muawiyah is sitting in Damascus. The capital is in Damascus, and Imam Hassan is in Medina, then Imam Hussain is in Medina. They were not living in Damascus, and he is in Damascus. He is far away, and a man that he has absolute power. He has so much to offer, to bribe people and to change whatever he wanted to change. So he made lot of brainwashings of those people around him. He introduced so many those changes here and there wherever he could. Of course, whenever Imam Hassan or Imam Hussain or some other dignified people would find out, they would try to challenge him. But Muawiyah was very powerful. He was just like king, had absolute power and had lot of money, and he could do whatever he wanted to. And that's why when he brainwashed people at that level for that long time, so they could murder Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam just next to Kufa in presence of all those 30,000 Muslims that who were praying Zuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha, and many of them were Hafiz of Quran and Qari of Quran, but they martyred Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. So you can understand now the mentality of the masses, the mentality of people, that how much Muawiyah was able to brainwash them, how much Muawiyah was able to affect these people's faith and their spirit. This is what we are seeing in the time of Muawiyah. That people can come, people who are saying La ilaha illallah and Muhammadun Rasulullah, they are slaughtering the grandson of Prophet Muhammad Rasulullah. This is what is happening. So it actually tells you the mentality and the level of spirit of people, level of their shallowness, how their faith had become shallow, that they don't know what they are doing. They are slaughtering the grandson of Prophet. Then what happens? After Shahadat of Imam Hussain, this brutality in one way or the other continued. Meaning, after Shahadat, we didn't see that there is a big revolt in Makkah and Medina and Basra and Kufa and everywhere, and Ummah is standing up and protesting, and streets are all blocked, and the Yazid has to resign or Yazid has to be punished, or nothing happened. Nothing. 4 years this man brutally stays and rules, and finally he goes to hell because of his because of illness or whatever they say. But Yazid died a natural death. Nobody assassinated him. Nobody went and took revenge from him, that you slaughtered the son of Prophet, so I am not going to let you live. Nothing happened. Then comes Marwan, and those who know Marwan, what kind of a wicked man Marwan, who was the source of all the problems in the time of Osman, who actually instigated that war of Jamal and was a man behind that, fighting, bringing Talha, Zubair, Aisha, all those kind of people. And Marwan, everybody knows who Marwan is. After Marwan, the sons of Marwan, 4 sons of Marwan, they ruled. So almost you can count more than 90 years Banu Umayyah ruled over Muslims. More than 90 years. You are knowledgeable people, you are wise people, you know what happens that if one government comes, a bad government comes for 4 years, how much that within 4 years that one president alone can create the mess and can change the mentality of people, can create the hatred, can take people out of their normal way of life and put them in totally a different kind of style of life. You have seen it very recently. But meaning 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 20 years. But if a government a particular mentality, a particular style of government, a particular ideology, if stays there for 90 years without a challenge, can you understand the damage? Can you understand that how much this Banu Umayyah had damaged the mind, the mentality, beliefs, practices, the spirit, the soul of Muslim Ummah? And this Muslim Ummah had reached to what level? They created so many fake beliefs, started so many fake kind of practices. They created so many ideological and theological questions and confusions in the Ummah. And Ummah became, in other words, you can say jahil, confused, and everyone is just going wherever they want to go. At that time, when Ummah is in utter darkness and is brainwashed, and the scholarship is killed, and scholars are either muted or they are not there, at that time a man emerges by the name of Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam, and he opens the school and he starts teaching Quran, he starts teaching hadith, he starts teaching fiqh, he starts teaching akhlaq, he starts motivating people, he starts training people in marifat, in taqwa, in irfan, and he opens up whatever was buried. He is the one that who is bringing the meaning back to the text. He is bringing the tradition again back to its the right track. That is the job which Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam has done after 90 plus years of the rule of Banu Umayyah. Recite his salawat. That makes Imam Baqir special, because people had, as you know, that in the time of Muawiyah had created so many confusions, and these simple Muslims, many of them were Bedouins, many of them had came from nowhere, they had no scholarly background. Just one thing I will point out, and I will not get into too many details. You know that when Ammar Yasir was martyred in the battle of Siffin, so everybody knew that hadith that Prophet had told Ammar, a rebellious group of my ummah will martyr you. You will be calling them toward haqq, but they will be standing on the batil and they will martyr you. So this is something which so many people there, they knew. Those who were still confused whether Ali is right or Muawiyah is right. No, the martyrdom of Ammar Yasir had brought everything into the light, and with the vision like 2020 they could see who is at haqq and who is at batil. But Muawiyah comes and he says, no, we are not the killers of Ammar Yasir. It's Ali who is killer of Ammar Yasir. They say, how come Ali is killer of Ammar Yasir? He was in the camp of Ali. He was a friend of Ali. All along he stood with Ali. And he came with Ali and we killed him. He said, no. If Ali would not bring him in the battlefield, and if Ali would not send him to fight against us, we would not kill him. So if we killed him, actually it is not we who killed him. Actually, the man who had brought him to the battlefield, he is the killer of. And then people, Zindabad, 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 as you know that people as the people are, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, anything what comes here with shout, Subhanallah. Whether it makes sense or doesn't make sense, this Maulana comes and says something shouting, Subhanallah Maulana. Other Maulana comes and says something 180% different with shout, Subhanallah Maulana. So, people said, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Ali khel Ammar Yasir. Muawiyah didn't. Then Imam Ali came out and he said, if that is logic and if this logic is right and true, then all those people who were martyred in Badr, all those people who were martyred in Uhud, particularly Hamza, Sayyidu Shuhada, then their killers were not the mushrikeen of Makkah. Basically, it was Prophet that who had killed these people in the battle of Badr, in the battle of Uhud, because if Prophet would not take them to the battlefield, they would not get killed. What kind of nonsense is this? अच्छा, हम बात तो ये भी ठीक लगती है, बात तो ये भी ठीक लगती है. This is how the people are. वो भी ठीक है, ये भी ठीक है. That makes sense, this makes sense. And we are talking in the time of Muawiyah, where Ali is still around. Still Ali is around. And this is the state of the mind of the community. This is how the people are. And then, after Muawiyah comes Marwan, and then 4 sons of Marwan, and all those people, and they ruled more than 90 years. So where did go Islam and Islamic scholarship and Islamic knowledge and Islamic taqwa and Islamic piety and Islamic spirituality and Islamic intellectualism? Everything was all just buried. And the old Arab culture and the tribalism and all those things came back. At that time, Abu Hanifa was still not, he was still in making. Abu Hanifa is much younger than Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salatu wasalam was born in 57, while Abu Hanifa was born, who is the senior most out of those 4, he was born on 80. So 57 and 80. Imam Malik was born in 93. So this Abu Hanifa, this Malik, this Shafi'i, this Ahmad bin Hanbal, none of them are there yet. The one that who causes the life, again in the teachings of Quran and in the Sunnah of the Prophet and in the Hadith of Prophet, and who starts the school and college and university and trains the scholars and removes the confusions. And what is the meaning of Baqir? Baqir is the one that who splits something to open it up. Who splits to open something. The inner meanings, the inner dimensions of Islam. To show them, to show people the inner meanings of Quran and Hadith. Meaning Quran in depth, Hadith in depth, Akhlaq in depth, ideology and theology in depth. And that is something when Imam Muhammad Baqir started doing it, none of these other people which people now have great respect for them. There is no man you can show us that who is standing shoulder to shoulder with Imam Muhammad Baqir. Imam Muhammad Baqir is alone, man standing at the stage and holding the whole stage. And is doing this. And then this, of course, in his own legacy, Imam Jafar Sadiq, Imam Musa Kazim, Imam Ali Raza, they kept this on their side. And on other end, then comes Abu Hanifa, and then comes Imam Malik, and then comes Imam Shafi'i, and then comes, and they also got the benefit of the scholarship of Imam Muhammad Baqir and Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Recite salawat. So my brothers and sisters, this is the background why Imam Muhammad Baqir is special. He is the father He is the fatherly figure of Islamic sciences, Islamic knowledge. And this is also something to note. Although we look at Amirul Mu'mineen as Babu Madinatil Ilm, the center of knowledge, and a man with unlimited knowledge which any bashar or any human being can have. But the title of Baqir Ilmin Nabiyyin is given to Imam Baqir, not to Imam Ali. Imam Ali he taught people, and of course he was a man of that enormous amount of knowledge, but service to ilm, service to scholarship, and establishing and spreading the sciences of Anbiya and ulum of Anbiya, that is the honor of Imam Muhammad Baqir. That is the service of Imam Muhammad Baqir. And then from Imam Muhammad Baqir, this stream flows and it goes to the other things, other Imam, as I said, particularly these four Imams. Later on, Imam Muhammad Taqi, Imam Ali Naqi, and Imam Hassan Askari, they had a different role. The scholarship was all done in the time of these four Imams. The maximum work of narrating hadith, writing hadith, explaining hadith, that was all accomplished. But in the time of the later, those three Imams at tail, that was making the network for the 12th Imam, preparing people everywhere in the Muslim world to take the responsibility, and now getting ready and having that network which would represent the 12th Imam in his ghaibat. So they had a different role which they played. As the first four Imams, they had their role which they played, I have mentioned earlier. But the scholarship, establishing ilm, ideology, principles of knowledge, Quran, Hadith, Tafsir, Akhlaq, Marifat, Irfan, whatever you talk about, this is the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir to Imam Ali Ar-Riza alayhi salatu wassalam. Recite a salawat. One more salawat. So, and if you want to understand the caliber of our fifth Imam and the kind of knowledge and service he provided, only one of his students has narrated 30,000 hadiths on behalf of Imam Muhammad Baqir. Only one of his students. Up to 45,000 hadiths is narrated in our books. 45,000 hadiths on behalf of our fifth Imam, if you look around in all our books. And these 30,000 or 40,000 hadiths is much more than all the hadiths which our brothers of Ahlul Sunnah, they have in their books. Only hadith narrated by Imam Muhammad Baqir. And actually the maximum number of hadiths narrated by any Imam, that is Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. Narration of hadith. And hadith was the knowledge. Because hadith was explanation of Quran. It was explaining the inner meanings of ayat. The point of reference in the ayat of Quran, the application of the ayat of Quran, exclusions and inclusions in those ayat of Quran were explained mostly in hadith. So that is the meaning, level of knowledge and understanding which this Imam had. And then if you look at his life, as he trained these students, many of them later continued with Imam Ja'far Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam also. And they had the honor of being the companion and the student of Imam Muhammad Baqir and then Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam. And some of them even, they had the honor of being the student of Imam Musa al-Kadhim. They studied from 3. They studied from Imam the Hadith, they studied from Imam Quran, Akhlaq, and they learned all those sciences which were available at that time in that part of the world or in that world. One of the distinguished qualities of Imam Muhammad Baqir's teaching was that he would always ask, whatever I tell you, whatever I explain to you, always ask me for the reference from Quran. That was a unique claim of our 5th Imam, that whatever I am telling you, when you come to me and ask masail, and I answer your masail, ask me for reference, and ask me reference from Quran. I will give you reference from Quran. That was the knowledge of Quran. And then whatever he said to people, whatever answered he provided, this was not his ijtihad or I say or this is my opinion or I think or guesswork. Everything, either he is reciting the ayat of Quran or he is reciting the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on behalf of his father or grandfather. This is how solid his scholarship was. Recite salawat. I had recited one brief hadith in the beginning. I will only translate because that is a hadith from Imam Muhammad al-Baqir where he says, Al-ilmu khaza'in, knowledge is like a treasure. It's a treasure, very precious treasure. Wal mafatih as-su'al. But if you want to get into that treasure or if you want to take out something from that treasure, that key to that treasury or that treasure is question, su'al. Fas'alu yarhamukumullah. Therefore, keep asking the questions. May Allah bless you and may Allah show His mercy upon you. Be the people who ask questions. This is again the legacy of Ahlul Bayt. Ahlul Bayt always encourage people to ask questions. They always encourage people to ask questions. And that is the sign of knowledge and confidence. When people who will have knowledge and if they have the scholarship and if they have the confidence, they are the one who will ask people that ask me, like you saluni qabla an tafqiduni. That was the claim of Amirul Mu'mineen. And this is the claim of every Imam. Ask questions. Because without asking questions, you will not get into the depth of knowledge. If there is a student, he attends a class and only keeps listening to the teacher and never raises hand and never raises the question, asks the question, this student is never going to, it shows that this student is not a student of high caliber. Either he doesn't understand, he is not following, or he doesn't have the confidence and doesn't have that kind of mind to look into further. Is an average student. But if you are a above average student, then you must have your hand with question. And you should ask questions. So Imam alayhi salatu wasalam says, knowledge is in a treasure box. It is like in treasure. And the key to that is question. Fas'alu, ask the question. May Allah show mercy upon you. فَإِنَّهُ يُوجَرُ فِي الْعِلْمِ أَرْبَعَةٍ. Imam says 4 people are rewarded when question is asked. As-sa'il, first of all, the question, the person who asks the question, he gets reward. He gets sawab because he asked the question. Wal mujib, and the person who answers, he gets sawab because he answered. Wal mustame, and those people sitting around who listen and got benefit because he asked, he answered, they got some benefit out of it, so they also get sawab. Wal muhibbu lahum, and someone that who likes this kind of meeting, this kind of discussion, and someone that who admires the alim and the student and the people of knowledge and the people who have this kind of background, they also get the sawab. So this is the legacy, my brothers and sisters. I had some other things to say, but time is over. It's almost 1 hour, and I will conclude here. But we, as Imam Khomeini said, we are proud to have Imam Muhammad al-Baqir. We take pride in a school of thought where we have imams like imams of Ahlul Bayt, from Ali till Mahdi, all of them people of knowledge, people of piety, people of character, people of nobility, people of intellect, people that who were role models, people that who had the highest level of knowledge, scholarship, intellectualism. At the same time, they were very much engaged in community, in society. They were builders of community. They were organizers of community. They trained the students. They trained the teachers. They trained the community. And we didn't get into those aspects. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir had a very comprehensive life. While on one hand, he is the role model for scholars and students and teachers and intellectuals and authors and speakers. On other hand, he was a man that who worked very hard. Even in harsh weathers, he was found working in farms. Some of his opponents picked upon him, and they made some comments that in such a harsh weather you are working, and why are you working? And what if you die here while you are working in this? How you are going to face Allah? And he says, I love to face Allah when I have this blood and sweat on my body, and I am working and I am earning to support my family and my dependents. So what an honor I can have better than this, that if death comes to me while I am working halal, while I am earning halal for right reasons, and I am going to support. So Imam alayhi salatu wassalam was role model in many, many areas of life, my brothers and sisters. Imam was a man that who had every skill which any leader or any man of that caliber must have. Was a very well-rounded person, skillful person, knowledgeable person, and a man that who encouraged people to learn, to practice, and to then devote their life and their time and their resources to the service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he was great azadar. He was great azadar. He kept the azadari of his grandfather, as his father Zainul Abidin was used to do. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir kept doing that. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir made some of his properties, some of his assets, like endowment fund, which he made wasiyat to his son, that this income from this property should be spent in the azah and azadari of my grandfather, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. So a man with such a life with such a legacy was the fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah give us tawfiq to look at this illuminating Imam and his life and his teachings and get some lessons and some inspirations from his life and his examples and follow according to best of our abilities. By the way, he has beautiful name. Many of us in community have this name Baqir or Muhammad Baqir. It is one of the most beautiful names. If anyone is expecting any male baby, and in this month if you have any male baby, so this is one of the beautiful names, Muhammad Baqir. So name these names to your sons, your grandsons, and in family. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answer our du'as, fulfills our hajat, cures our mareez, mu'mineen and mu'minat, and those who have requested for du'as. I have received a request for Surah Fatiha for the mother of our sponsor of this event tonight. The marhuma's name is Salma Shah Musavi. So kindly recite a Surah Mubarakah Fatiha and a Surah Ikhlas for Isale Sawab of marhuma Salma Shah Musavi, masbukatan bis salawat. Brothers and sisters, there are a few community members in town. Some of them are in some other towns. Some of them are abroad, and they are still facing some of these health challenges. They are mareez. Put your heart in this dua and recite 3 times loud salawat for their shifa kamil wa ajil. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Mutawajjih ziyarat. السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين، السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك، السلام عليك وعلى أمك وأخيك، السلام عليك وعلى جميع أعوانك وأنصارك، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك مولاي يا أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة وعلى أبنائك الأربعة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك مولاي يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.